Okay.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. You kind of low, but I think that's just because you're talking low.
I don't even want to touch nothing. I don't want to touch nothing. You sure you can still hear me? Am I coming through clearly? Am I choppy?
You sound very lovely right now. You're gonna sound lovely throughout this whole interview. How about that?
Hold
Throughout
on.
this whole session. And you even
Okay,
look your
can
camera
you
is more clear too.
okay, can you hear me though?
I can hear you. You sound great.
I sound great.
You sound
Okay.
great. Not choppy at all.
I'm nervous. I'm a little nervous now because I don't know. I don't want to move around too much. I don't want to speak too loud or too low because the cell phone might do some craziness. All right, ladies and gentlemen, am I still working?
You
Still
still
working.
working. You
Ladies and gentlemen, yours truly, Diva in the house. All right, representing with my sister Jessica, divine wisdom. Jessica, thank you for your patience. Thank you for your patience. All right, we're gonna tell you why we're here. All right, so those of y'all who know me, I deal with law, all laws, and I'm all about making sure that, especially the women, recognize what has happened in the past so that we can regain our powers and use it wisely. Okay. Now, how did we meet? Me and Jessica, Divine Wisdom, how did we meet? So Jessica was kind enough to give props to some videos that I had put out a while back dealing with who the male is, all right, and who the woman is, and how the things that we've been taught in this society are very backwards, and the backwardsness of what we've been taught is causing so many issues that we never get to the bottom of because we're still holding on to lies. Jessica was kind enough to give me props, and I appreciate her so much. And it wasn't just that she gave me props, she got it. She let everybody know what the platform was about, what I speak on. We are all about love. We're not coming to you from a jaded perspective. We're not upset with the man and society and with the government. We are about love. So Jessica got it. And I want to tell this sister, I love you and I thank you. I love you. I thank you. I love you. I thank you. I hope y'all hear this. Hear this world, even though I keep bringing it up from time to time. This sister is wonderful, and I appreciate her, and I thank her so much for just showing me love. She didn't have to do it, but she did it, and I say thank you. Thank you for your patience today too, with all of these issues we've been having. But I'm so glad to have you here, and I'm excited. Did you? I hope y'all heard that.
Yeah, look, it's good. You're very clear. The audio is great, and as far as the patience, look, I've been a part of the U.S. military, where basically it's hurry up and wait. I love me a good nap and just sit around and do nothing. So it's always good meditation time for me. So look, we got it done. We're gonna come here on this Friday night, and we're gonna, like you like to say, build. So I'm excited about it.
All right. Well, let's do this. Now, you have your people on your page. Jessica, tell everybody what your page is and how people can reach you. I mean, you got the world knows you because you just all that. But tell everybody how they can reach you.
So, my name is Jessica Divine, and obviously, this page is the official Jessica Divine Wisdom. This is more just my talk page about my opinion, about how I feel about different things about the world. But I do have my main page, which is the official Jessica Divine. That's my herbal page where I teach about healing the body using Mother Nature. We actually go around, and when I say me, I'm talking about, like, when I say we, I'm talking about my multiple personalities. We go around and we, show people the plants in nature and basically help people to heal themselves using plant identification, also how to properly prepare and use the herbs. Every plant in nature has a medicinal purpose. Every single plant. We don't know that, but I would say the indigenous people to this land, they kept those secrets themselves. And you have to really kind of dive deep to find it, but literally every plant, even the poisonous ones, have medicinal properties to them. You just need to know how to properly use them, and you have to respect nature. It's always a respect thing. So, and that is the official Jessica Divine. But this page, this is more, I'm able, we're able to hit on like spiritual and mental and emotional topics. So on the herbal page, they just there for the herbs. On this page, we're here for it all, right?
Absolutely. Now, I wanted to get into this because, you know, we have a tour coming up, the Fifth Dimensional Woman Tour. All right. And so I want to talk a little bit about that, if that's okay, because that is in alignment with what both of us speak on. All right. The main point of the Fifth Dimensional Woman Tour is to give women that esoteric knowledge that has been hidden from them. All right. Make sure that when we get our powers that are coming back online, that we use them in righteousness, because we lost them. So notice we're saying regaining your power because we had them before. So we want to go into some history, making sure the woman recognizes who we really were in the past. All right. We're going to deal with it from a legal standpoint, a historical standpoint, a scientific standpoint. We're going into some molecular structure. All right. And then we're going to show proof and information that you can go and research for yourself to see for yourself the things that we're saying. So this is a great tour. I've invited Jessica. Hopefully you'll see Jessica on a couple of legs, if not all of them. We want to see her there speaking on them. But the Fifth Dimensional Woman Tour, you can find the link in the bio because we are inviting everybody, men and women. I want to make this too. When we're speaking to the woman, this is not anything negative to our brothers. We love our brothers. We just have to make sure the women recognize who they are, recognize where they come from, because once the woman gets cleaned up, everything else comes into order. So that's where we are with that. But Jessica, thank you so much for being a part of whatever, because Jessica's going to help us do some promotions on it, and we're excited to build with her and join with her. So Jessica, I'm doing a woosah over here.
We've been going a whole hour trying to get it together, right?
Yes.
So we're here.
I'm gonna let you go now. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Now, I do want to let the audience know that yes, you can go to the in-person events, and there's 5 total, right?
5 total events, yes.
But you can also, it's going to be streamed as well, so you'll be able to catch it via video as well, live video at that. So
yes, thank you. Thank you for that. So Chicago, we got Chicago, Dallas, Houston, Atlanta, and New York. Not in that order, but those are places that we're going.
Okay, I'm excited. I'm excited. So look,
get that work. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Artley. So welcome in. Let us know where you're coming in from, and we're gonna jump into the interview, or we call it a session. So my question is this. You talk about this transition that we're going through, right? Where the power of, I think all of us in general, we're all kind of starting to tap back into our power, but specifically to the woman. When did you first kind of notice this transition, and where is it at in its different stages right now?
Okay, that's beautiful, because I remember I saw you speaking about coming back into balance, all right? And I noticed this when, I mean, of course, you know, it's been going on for quite some time. So I'd have to go back to the history and help you to understand who women are first. So what I have to go into is the fact that women owned everything. Now, this is one of those controversial subjects, all right? Women were the owners of all of the land, all of the wealth, all of the knowledge. And for those of us who have studied, we know that the male comes from the woman. I got to put some molecular structure in here. Molecular structure. We understand that the Y is a derivative of the X chromosome. The Y chromosome is a derivative of the X chromosome. So the male comes from the woman. we know that all males originally were female. All right, so I'm not going to go that deep into that because we can break that down. But in understanding the fact that it was the male that came from the woman, he was her creation. He was her slave. He didn't have the power and the knowledge that she had, and she mistreated him. I had to go back to that point because there's a law. It's a law of I forget the name of it, but it basically the principle is there are no victims. There are no victims. And so what happened is the male ended up taking over the woman. So once he took her over, he wrote her out of her own scriptures, her own stories. When we're talking about the scriptures, those come from the women. So I tell y'all, go look up oracles and symbols. So tell me stop me if I go back too far. But when we go into looking into oracles and symbols, we understand that that's where the scriptures come from that you find in the Bible. Those were her stories, not his stories. And so he wrote her out of her scriptures. So in studying that, that's when I started to see, oh, okay, this is where we are. Because all things have to come back around. It's a cycle. Yeah. It's a cycle. She did dirt to him. And because of what she did to him, she lost her power. He took her over. I told you this before. It's like this. Look, let's go back. According to scripture, the Anunnaki, or ancient stories or what have you, the Anunnaki created the humans. All right. What are Anunnaki? Well, the humans took over. All right. The woman created the male. The male took her over. Melanated people created the Albion. Albion took them over. The people created the government taking them over. You got to understand when you're not in alignment with your creation, then it gets out of control. And that's what has happened over this cycle. Okay, I don't want to go too far. I'm going to break it back. When I did my research, I saw all of these cycles, and I recognized that things have to go back into order. The original order of this planet was matriarchy. What, Diva? That ain't real. That's why that's not that. Where'd you get that from? I want y'all to go and look up this document called the Iroquois Confederacy. The Iroquois Confederacy. Write it down. It's gonna be on the test. All right. The Iroquois Confederacy. And when you look up that document called the Iroquois Confederacy, what you're going to find is this Iroquois Confederacy is the Constitution of the United States of America was based off of the Iroquois Confederacy. And in that Iroquois Confederacy, it shows that the woman is the owner of the land, that the male cannot even own land. It's all still in her name till this day. The problem is you keep calling yourself something else. You keep claiming something else. So we're not going into these titles today, but because today we're talking about the woman, but I'm letting you know that to this day, this land is in the name of the woman. But when you continuously call yourself something different, then you cannot claim what belongs to you. All right. So I hope that answers your question. When I did that research, I saw this cycle just constantly. The thing that is created ends up taking over that which created it. And that's what happened with the male. That's what happened with the Albion. When I say Albion, I'm talking about your so-called white people. I don't call them white because they're not white, and I don't call my melanated people black because they're not black. All right. But I just saw this cycle. And when you understand law, and those of y'all who have seen any of my sessions and you understand the universal laws, the law deals with how you can see things that happened in the past. Listen, I tell people, I'm an oracle. I'm an oracle. Why? Because I know law. Our ancestors, the symbols and oracles, they knew law. So they can see what happened in the past, and then they can prophesize what happened in the future. Those prophecies in the Bible, they come from women, symbols and oracles. All right, I hope I answered your question.
It's good. Okay. So I love that you went to the history of that. But okay, so this is what I want to add on to that. I feel like at
Yeah.
this time, right now, more and since we're talking about women, a lot more women are open to now this new
Mhm.
truth. I would say maybe 5 years ago, before the pandemic, a
Yeah.
lot more people
Yes.
was closed off. And it's something that
Mhm.
happened with that. Some people say it's the shift to the age of Aquarius and things like that. But something happened where now people are really seeking for truth. And they're no longer just taking religious truth, not even the science truth that we've been given, but they're saying no, it's more to the story. What do you think shifted, and why do you think now is the time that this information is widely accepted by people?
That was a good question because 10 years ago, when I was speaking on this information, nobody wanted to hear it. And this is why I thought we talked about this. I left the country because I was like, well, y'all not listening. I'm out of here. Okay. And so now when I ended up coming back into the country, and I came back maybe 3 years ago, right at the pandemic, when it came out. Before I left, all this stuff had been prophesized, though, that there will be a time of knowledge, enlightenment, that people will start to become more receptive. It was already prophesized. Um, I don't know what the time frame is and how that works. I just know that had already been foretold that there will be a time when people will come into knowledge and want to seek knowledge. But when I started talking about it, and I got to say this though, Jessica, you know this, the spirits are speaking to all of us. All right, they're speaking to all of us. Some of us are just more tapped in than others. But what I will say is that this has been going on, and whatever this vibration, this vibratory rise that we're in, now people are more receptive to the information than they were 10 years ago
Yeah, I
as a
agree.
whole.
I
And I
agree.
don't know why, but it was foretold.
Yeah, I feel like maybe this is the time. Maybe this is the time. And it's funny because there's always a dualistic side to these things. So though this what happened in 2020 was meant to, I guess, keep us ignorant, keep us in fear, it actually, on the other side of duality, it actually gave people the time to quiet themselves and get themselves away from distractions. Because even for me in 2020, that was a big awakening year for me. And it was because I was out of work. Even though I was working like remote, they were still paying me while I was at home. But I could have that time to just sit, reflect. I spent more time in nature. And with me turning off
Mhm.
all those distractions, it's like the spirits could speak to me and I could hear more clear. So it's just I feel like this is the time. And even with people like my mother, my friends and things, people who 2 3 years ago, you bring up something like this, they like, all I know is
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah, yeah,
Now they're like, that sounds, I'm gonna think about it. It's not as
yeah.
much fight back.
Right, right.
So, so Libra Linus said it's the age of Aquarius. So, are you familiar with this age, and can you give us a little more expansion on it?
All right. So I'll just say this: I'm an Aquarius.
Oh, okay.
Uh, but when they're talking about this age of Aquarius coming into it, so the age of Aquarius is the know, where you know. It's not about belief. It's not about, oh, I think or I feel. No, it's about knowing. This is a time where you have the ability to create your dimension. All right, so here, let me say this. I'm going to talk about the fifth dimension. Let me just go into that and help us to understand where we were. When we were talking about the third dimension, we're in this third dimension. We don't have knowledge of what's going on, so we are just reacting to everything that's coming to us. That's the third dimension. I just see what I feel, I touch, I hear, whatever your senses are. Fourth dimension deals more with time. Now, when you hear people talking about the fourth dimension, what they'll say is, you don't hear people say, hey, we're going to the fourth dimension. They don't say that because that's where the spirits are. That's where your ancestors reside. That's where these frequencies are coming from, where we're hearing source talk to us. You follow what I'm saying? We hear source talk to us. And we can, some of us can receive it because our antennas are on. We're not tuned into the news. We're not listening to the radio all the time. We're grounded with nature. So the fourth dimension is dealing more with time, but that's where you'll hear people talk about. That's where beings reside that don't have the vessels. All right, fifth dimension. What does that deal with? That deals with your actions. Now, fifth, sixth, seventh dimension. This is where you're starting to. You have the ability to create your third dimension, meaning what you're doing, that's on the fifth dimension, your vibratory frequency and your beliefs. I say beliefs, but really your know, meaning your knowledge. All right, so follow me on this. Normally I have visual aids because I know it gets complicated. But now, in this time, when we are in control of our actions, when we are in control of our vibratory frequencies, and we're in control of our beliefs, then we control our third dimension. How does that look? All right, and I'm going to say this real quick and I'm going to let it go. When you, let's say you meet someone and that person needs your help. Depending on your energies and how you treat that person, that's going to determine how other people show up in your third dimension. So if you're kind to this person and you're, hey, I know you need help, follow me, I'm going to take you there. Then the people who show up in your third dimension, they're going to be kind to you the way you were to that person. This is just dealing with universal laws. Whatever you put out must come back. All right, so that's one thing. That's on the fifth dimension. What am I doing? How am I acting? You know, what energies am I putting out? That's going to determine how others show up in my third dimension. Then when we're talking about vibratory frequency, when something happens, do you stay in a lower vibratory frequency? Because that's going to determine also how others show up in your third dimension. All right, so that's another thing. Again, we're talking about controlling our third dimension in the fifth, sixth, and seventh. I know it's complex, but now we're talking about the seventh dimension. What we're talking about, what you know. So if, let's say, for example, you go to the doctor and the doctor says, oh, you got 2 months to live. Well, what do you know? Do you know that this doctor don't know what the heck he's talking about? Or do you believe what he's telling you? That's going to determine whether or not whatever this ailment is inside of you moves out or it stays and festers. So again, what you do, your vibratory frequency, and your thoughts or your beliefs or your know is what's controlling what's showing up. So now we're going from, oh, we just reacted to everything to, no, we're going to control this and create our heaven right here on this earth. That's what I'm talking about. So I hope I answered your question.
Okay, all right. That was good. That was good. Okay, so I like that you put a difference between belief and knowing, because in the age of Pisces, of illusions and things, we kind of went off belief. We went off what we were told, and we kind of just had to have faith and believe it without necessarily knowing. So in this new age that we're in, it's almost like an age of knowledge, of where we're constantly getting new knowledge. And I believe that we get the knowledge as we're ready for it. It don't all just come at, one time, but it's like, as spirit know that you're ready to receive, you get little trinkets. And that's why it's no destination. It's no rush. Take your time, patience. But, because we must know. But in order for us to know, it has to be knowledge. It has to be truth. And we have to resonate with it in order to even create the vibration within us. So for instance, in the past, especially if we're going to talk about church, they tell you, give with a joyful heart, give and it shall be given unto you. But the thing is, the people gave out of fear. They gave out of, this is what I got to do in order to make it to heaven. Versus saying, no, when we truly understand universal law, we know that the intention and the vibration that we give out of is abundance. It's out of
Right,
joyfulness
right.
because we know that we're the creators and that there's more to come to us as we give out of this purity and this intention. So it's just like the difference between knowing and belief. And a lot of people think they're the same thing, and it's no. When you know, you know. And it's not that you just know from an intellectual, but you know from a spiritual sense. Like, this is true. So I love that you
Let
brought
me,
that up.
I want to, that's a great example because when we're talking about, remember I talked about your actions, your vibratory frequency, and what you know. So the universe does not care about who you give something to. All right. The universe doesn't care. As long as you are controlling how you're giving, the universe, the law says it has to come back to you. So for example, instead of walking into the light company with an attitude like, I'm sick of paying these lights, y'all are charging too much, y'all ripping us off, and you instead of that energy, when you walk in there to pay that bill, know that those $200 or whatever amount you're paying on that bill are currency. All right, so you paying this bill, that's an energy. What kind of vibratory frequency are you putting on this bill when you pay it? Are you showing gratitude? Because as long as you show gratitude, that $200, by the law of compensation, it's got to come back to you many times over. The universe doesn't care who you give it to as long as you do it with a giving and kind spirit. So you giving this funds, you're doing it with a high vibratory frequency, and then you know the law is real. You know it. I don't believe it. I know how the universe works because I've seen it over and over again. All of us have seen it. We just didn't recognize what we were seeing.
Yes.
So now, when you do this, now you paying this bill and you are doing it on purpose. You are saying, I am so grateful for these lights. Without these lights and these electricity, I couldn't talk to wonderful Jessica here, divine wisdom. Without this lights and electricity, I couldn't do all of these other things. I am grateful. I'm grateful that I have the funds to pay this $200 for this bill. And by law, I know the universe has my back and I'm going to return it. Thank you, universe. Now you have controlled your future, your third dimension. With that action, those actions and those thoughts, your vibratory frequency, now the universe is going to respond differently to you.
Woo.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. And it's funny because I remember watching The Secret years ago. And somebody on there, they was like, when I pay my bills with gratitude and joyful, thanking them that one, I have the money to pay and that the services or the product that has been provided to me. And the thing is, this is a world of abundance. When you go outside, you can't even count how many blades of grass. You can't count the leaves. So whenever you need to remind yourself that this is a world of abundance and that you don't have to be in lack and selfishness and fear, go outside and just try to count all the leaves and you eventually going to get tired. So it's like, and so some people, they hate the Bible. They don't like the Bible, but I feel like in any type of these type of books, philosophy books, there's always things you can find, right? So in there, it talks about if the bees and the animals have all of their needs met, why wouldn't you be provided for? And it's like, people don't realize that it's really that simple. So when you know that you are abundance, you are one with wealth, you are one with abundance, that you know you have all these channels open to you where good things can flow to you, you have no need to worry. Also, you know that if you're paying your bills, obviously you want people to pay you what they owe you, right? So why wouldn't you have joy in paying other people what you may owe them? It comes around in cycles. And it's really that intention. A lot of people, it's not so important what you do, is why you do it and what's the intention behind what you're doing. And when it comes down to knowing our truth as women, seeing who we are in relation to other people outside of us, it's the intention. It's the intention. If your intention is to dominate and be angry and want to fight, your energy is in the wrong direction. It's not within. So I love that you're talking about intention and you're talking about the law, because
Right.
why we do things, what energy we do it in, that is going to return back to us.
Right. Now you said you spoke about the how we live in abundance, and it's important for people to remember that, because when I deal with the laws, I talk from the higher laws down to these lower man laws. But when we're talking about the higher laws that most of us are familiar with, that's the universal laws. And under that, then you have natural law, where we're talking about nature. Well, nature shows us that we live in abundance. And the problem is that when we get down here to these lower laws, somebody's got us flipped. When we talk about man's laws, everything is 100% opposite, where we're thinking we live in scarcity and we start hoarding. And then when you put that energy out, you get more of it. It is a cycle. So we've got to come out of that cycle and get back to, just like you said, working with the universe, working with nature. Because as I tell you, I work for the universe. All right, the universe, the employer with unlimited resources and benefits. I work for the universe. When we get back to that point, then we're not relying on a dollar. Or if we want a dollar, the universe brings it to us. We don't have to scratch and, scratch for it. It's going to come to us because we know how to manifest it.
Ooh, okay, so speaking of manifest, what keeps, and since we're talking about women, I want y'all to be reminded that she has the Fifth Dimensional Woman tour coming up starting the 27th. It's going to be in Dallas, Houston, Atlanta, Chicago, and New York. And she's going to be talking about all these topics on a biological, on a molecular, on a spiritual, mental. She's going to break it all the way down, even legal and historical, where she's talking about women walking and tapping into their power. So I want y'all to check it out. It is available in person as well as streaming. So make sure y'all check that out. And you can find that in her bio of her page. Just click her. You should be able to click her picture and it will take you to a profile. And then it's going to be in the bio and you can buy your tickets there. So let's talk about it. Manifesting is a hot word, right? What is keeping women from manifesting the life that they want?
Okay, thank you. Because you said manifesting the life that they want, because they manifesting. Let's be clear on that. They are manifesting, but they're not manifesting the life that they want. What's stopping them is their lack of knowledge of self. I go through this because we have, by the way, UNA University is where we deal with all of the laws. And I get people, they wanted this paperwork side. I want some paperwork so I can just sign this and I don't have to pay for that car, I don't have to pay for this house. But the problem is that there is a spiritual side to everything. And if you're asking the universe for something and you're not deserving it, then okay, you're not gonna get it. So let me give you an example, because people are not understanding this. There is a universal bank, and it keeps track of all of your energies. All right, what you're putting in, what you did, what you said, you treated this person, did this dog over here, it's keeping track. There is a bank, and it has knowledge of everything that you've done. Now, if you go to a bank, for example, a regular bank, and you put in $50, is it reasonable for you to think you're gonna go write a check for 1,000 and get 1,000 from that bank when you didn't put any currency, any money, any energy into the bank? You put $50, but you want 1,000. Okay, this is the same thing with the universe. If you've gone on and you're waking up in the morning on the wrong side of the bed, cussing folks out, going to work, cursing people out, and you're putting all of this negative energy. You haven't shown gratitude to the universe. You haven't shown gratitude to the people around you. You have not shown love, but you want all of this currency, and you have a deficit in your universal bank. Well, how can you ask the universe for something when you have not put in? See, that's the problem. We've got to come out of this state of entitlement, first of all. So when we're talking about her getting what she wants, this is where she starts to learn knowledge of self. This is where we start talking about fifth, sixth, seventh dimension. controlling your energies, controlling your vibratory frequency, controlling what you know, because it's all about what you know, because you are manifesting it. All right. So when the other thing that I find with women, people period, is that they think they're victims. And again, there's a law that says there are no victims. There are no victims. And if you're in that victim state where you're angry, feeling ashamed, or whatever you are, that is a lower vibratory frequency, and you're not even operating in your right mind. You ain't getting what you desire because you're not thinking on the right frequency. You in a lower frequency, you only gonna manifest lower vibratory things. If you in guilt and shame and anger and hate and frustration and all this, you can't manifest anything. Because what do women want? They want this higher vibratory frequency stuff. They want this, oh, they want this. Well, you're not gonna get that if you're vibrating down here. If you're always fighting with somebody, always being disrespectful, always hating something, that's one of the problems. The vibratory frequency. So when we come into knowledge, that's why you got to know what this is, because we have been manifesting the whole time. If you're talking about manifesting what you wish, what you desire, then you got to get your vibratory frequency right. You got to get your mind right. You got to learn how to wake up with gratitude. You got to learn how to pay that bill with gratitude. You got to learn how to be somebody who is, what I say, has kindness, love, and compassion, and operates in honor, integrity, and respect. When you're doing that, then you're going to start getting what you desire, what you wish, as opposed to just getting whatever random thing comes at you. You've been manifesting it. It's all you. Now change it by changing you, going within instead of trying to change everybody else outside of you. As soon as you change you, they don't have a choice but to come into order with your universe. I hope that makes sense.
That makes sense. That makes sense. The people that you're attracting in your experience, they resonate with you at some point. When you change you, the things that resonate with you are going to change, or they're going to get gone. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. So it's I tell people all the time, if what you're listening to is not bringing you back to you, if it's not bringing you focus on yourself and what you need to do for yourself, then it's a distraction, and it's not going to work. You cannot change anybody outside of you. You cannot. And people always say, I want to make the world better, world peace. You got to start with you. It all comes from within.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and you let me know if you want to go deeper, because I'm loving this conversation.
Oh, okay. So hold on. Let me do my shout outs real quick, because I know a couple people sent me gifts. So thanks, Infinity. I see the donut that you sent me. Sent me 2 donuts too. Thank you, Selling. Also, Miss Tiana Marie, I do see y'all. So thank y'all for joining us. I'm here with the beautiful and brilliant Diva Lyri, and we're just talking about empowering women. We're talking about some real deal topics. As you know, she has a tour coming up. It's called The Fifth Dimensional Woman. And she goes about empowering women by teaching them the history, teaching them about the scientific, even the religious. She goes down into the full breakdown of who you are and how the truth has been hidden from you, and how to really tap into your power as a woman and your true identity as the I am. If we're going to talk about it like that. So thank you, Infinity. Yeah, so Infinity said you're brilliant.
Huh? What's that?
Infinity said you're brilliant. Said brilliant women. Oh, well, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. So, yeah. You said the I am. And that goes back, I am, meaning you are a God. Do we want to get into that subject? Yep. You ready?
Yes, we are.
Because the issue is that a lot of that title, and I understand why. Let me say something to you. When you accept that title, this is not a chest beating thing. Oh, I'm God. That's not, because what you have to start to recognize it. And when I first understood that, I had to go through some things mentally because I was kind of embarrassed. I was ashamed. I was like, look at what I have done. When I understood who I am and my responsibility in this, because I need to go back, I need to go into this, okay? I need to go into who we are as spiritual entities, all right? We talk about this, there is the flesh. This is its own entity, but this is a vehicle. But then there is a spiritual you, or the soul, as some people call it. There's the spiritual you, and then there's this flesh. And this flesh is a vehicle, it has its own pull. But as the spiritual entity, we recognize we've been here before. We always were, and we always will be. So when I'm saying that, we're gods or what have you, I'm saying that we've done things in other vessels, and it might not have just been human. We were Anunnaki, we were whoever created the Anunnaki, we were all of that. So we've got to start recognizing that we are ethereal beings. And so when we start recognizing that, okay, now, then that's the godly part of you. These vessels, they expire. You don't die, the vessel just expires, but your energy that you put out in this vessel is going to follow you. So with that being said, we have to go back to recognizing who we are as spiritual beings. Then when we start, understanding who we are as God, play a role in all of this mess. We're not just here in, I just got here. I ain't asked to be here. Yes, you did. You contracted to get here. You contracted to be here. Every last one of us, every last one of us. And so you contract by your energies, the energies that you put out in a previous vessel. And then you are the one who creates. You know how to tell you, you better not, don't do bad stuff before you die. You're going to go to hell. What? This is your heaven or this is your hell, depending on the energies that you put out. This is why it's so important when I talk about the 5th, 6th, 7th dimension, that now you have the ability to create your heaven right here on earth, right here, right now. You don't have to die to go get to it. Just change your energies, change your vibratory frequency, change your thoughts, and let's create the heaven right here. You follow what I'm saying? That's where we are.
I love that. Ooh, so I understand what you're saying because I talked to my mentor, and sometimes I'll be telling her about a situation that has happened, and she always be like, "That's you." Like, that person is just you. So explain to me why that behavior is going on. What is it within you that is going on? Because that person is just you projected. And
Yes.
When you say like we're the creator, it's like you do have to take accountability. And accountability is sometimes a hard thing because being a victim and looking at other people as what they're doing to you and that you're innocent and that you're just a good person and I love to give and people take advantage. That's easy. It's easy. And it almost makes me feel good because people are going to give me pity. But when I have to accept that I'm the creator, that everything that is happening is me. Okay. Well, I'm embarrassed.
Yeah, that's why I was telling you. When I started recognizing, it's like going back to this, taking on that title and recognizing who you are. You don't have anybody else to blame. You cannot be a God and a victim at the same time. You can't. So if you are going to step into that and know who you are, then you got to know that it's your responsibility, it's your fault, you brought it, you created it. Now you got to be responsible and accountable for it. And a lot of people are not willing to do that. So yes, when you got somebody coming into your dimension and they're doing whatever you say is whatever, it could be negative or positive. They are your reflection. I'm going to give it to you right now. Meeting you, I don't meet you without having a positive energy. I just don't, because you are my reflection. You follow me? I'm not. again, I'm sitting here, we're two people here sitting here having, this conversation, but I'm saying this to you. The people who are in your dimension, in your face, these are people who you are reflecting. You've called them, they've called you. Y'all found each other for a reason. It's not happenstance. Okay, I need to go into this because I've talked to ad nauseum to my students, making sure they are clear. There are no victims. So for example, when I see somebody getting something stolen from them, I see a thief. And I'm not talking about the one who did the stealing. I'm talking about the one who's a so-called victim. Because there are no victims. I already know that that energy found you for a reason. The universe does not miss when she's sending an energy. She don't miss. Yeah. So I know her language. I don't know all of it, but I know what I'm looking at. This is why when people come to me or they're talking about, oh, I got a case. Well, I'm the domestic victim, the victim of domestic violence, and I need your help. And they, I already know what I'm looking at. Yeah. I know, because I know that you're getting an energy. And if you're getting that energy, I know by law that you put it out somewhere else. So then when I start asking these clients, these potential clients, because I really don't take them on because I already know what the deal is. It's all spiritual. But I say to them, tell me about that other case that happened before this. There's always another case. And they go, what case you talking? It's like that case. Tell me about it. I already know where you had an issue with somebody else and you violated somebody else. Tell me about it. And then they get to tell me, oh, my neighbor, my neighbor did some stuff. I had to go over there and handle some things. I know. So you're not a victim. You're receiving an energy that you put out. I already know how the universe speaks. So this is what I'm saying. Like I tell my students, yeah, you're going to become an oracle too when you start recognizing these laws. And you start learning and understanding the language of the universe. She's always speaking. Everything is an energy. And she's always telling you stuff. What's done in the dark must come to the light. When you see somebody getting the beat down in public, oh, well, that's probably somebody who did some dirt. No, it ain't no probably. They did some dirt. And I'm just letting you know, I have had to go through this over and over again because I know we have cognitive dissonance. When we see certain things, we're like, oh no, that person's so innocent. They could never. Yeah, that's not what the universe did. The universe only gives energies to those whom they belong to. All right?
So, you know how you talked about that we manifest regardless if we're conscious of it or not. We're just always manifesting. I truly believe that we're always the creator, even if we're playing the victim. We've allowed as the creator, we allowed ourselves to kind of role play the victim. So it's like, regardless if you want to take accountability or not, and talk, like tap into your I amness, you're going to continue to create whatever you're creating. And it's funny because we don't even realize it, but every time we speak, we say I am, and we have something on the end of it. We're literally, from the time we learn how to speak, we're literally speaking our reality. But a lot of times, I think because of our surroundings, because of the news, because of, what we're steeped in, we tend to create negativity. We tend to resonate with negativity. We think it's normal. So we'll a lot of times hear, oh, girl, I'm just tired. I'm tired. I'm always struggling with money. I hate my job. It's like we're always saying, I am. We're always identifying ourselves as these things, not realizing that we're the creator, creating our reality, and not knowing that we're stuck in these cycles because, as the creator, this is what we're creating in our experience.
You okay if I go deep? Because I might upset some of your people over there. My people, if y'all upset,
no,
y'all better get over it.
They love it.
All right, let's go into this since you bring that up. The victim. And I talk about this say there are no victims, and then people want to go, well, what about the battered woman, Diva? She didn't ask to be battered. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. If anybody in here is like me and you've dealt with a battered woman, you know full well you can go over there and take her out of that house and put her in another home and say, girl, we're going to protect you. We got you. Where's she going to end up? You ever dealt with a battered woman?
I've had some in the family, extended family, and they usually go right on back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. He can only show up if she says yes. Yeah. He only shows up because of her. Now, I had this one session where somebody was talking about how a woman found a way to have, her husband was beating on her and she found a way to have him killed or whatever. Listen, she might have had him killed, but there's another one going to show up. She might have gotten away with it, but there's another one going to show up. That abusive person in her life is only a reflection of what's going on within her. So once she fixes herself, he's going to go away. She's going to either know how to move away from him, or this is not going to keep happening, because when you love yourself too much to allow somebody to be disrespectful to you. So when we want to keep saying, oh, well, she's a victim of the domestic violence, and she did, no, what she did was she attracted what was inside of her. And so this is why I tell people when they come at me talking about, oh, he's a abuser, a cheater, he's a this. I know who you are. So watch out now. When you start telling how negative this dude is in your life, all you're doing is telling me who you are, because you cannot attract him unless it is within you. Period. But no, she's not a victim.
So I love that example, because I often talk about, people, especially these days, they love to talk about the narcissist, the narc. And I'm like, there can't be a narc that shows up unless you're codependent. You have to be a match for that behavior.
That right there.
And I've even told one of my best friends, I told her, I said, me and you, we kind of grew up similar, and we kind of attract the same type of men. Now, let me ask you, why don't we attract men that do drugs and men that are like on alcohol and stuff? We've seen people attract that, right?
If you're doing that, then that's what you're going to attract.
So I asked her, I said, so ask yourself, if you don't attract men doing drugs and alcohol and stuff, ask yourself why you may be attracting emotionally, what is it called? Men who are not emotionally unavailable men. I said, obviously there's a difference between the type of men that you're attracting from other people, and it's usually reflective of you. So if he's emotionally unavailable, where are you emotionally unavailable with yourself? Because that's usually you're attracting what is reflective to you. And I said, it's not that you're just attracting all type of men. No, you don't attract all type of men. Now, another lady, she can attract somebody that's beating her behind, but me and you, we've never attracted men like that. So that tells you that the point of attraction is within us, and it's different. It also shows you what's your boundaries and what you tolerate as well. But it's a mirror.
So when we have women who are drawing these type of people, a lot of times it goes back to their time. All right. So they've seen their mother do it, and a lot of times their mother's mother went through it, and it's a lineage. And so until they decide to clean it up within themselves, they're gonna keep attracting him. And just like that woman who might have had her whoever husband killed, he might be dead. And she killed him. She might have killed him. But here's the deal: she's gonna find another one of him, because he was only reflective of who she was. Yeah. And she's gonna keep attracting those type of men.
Exactly. So with that being said, I tell people all the time, because people, they always think like, oh, if they're abusive or on drugs, that's just the extreme level. But no, if you're not getting what you don't want, regardless if they're not putting their hands on your stuff, then you still got to shift in some type of way, right? So you can get what you want. So it's like when you pay attention to what you're attracting and you actually start looking at yourself and say, well, what is it with me that makes me a match to this behavior? And how can I shift it so I can get a different experience instead of one looking at the people? Because you can continue to look at the people all day long and go to the next one and he's going to be the same thing. Because one, I like to say, one, you haven't learned your lesson. And the lesson is you. It's really all about you.
Right.
You're really just
Right.
projecting and attracting from what's within you. And until you shift what's going on within you, you can't get a different result. You're not a match to a different result. You're a match to that.
Exactly.
So you leave one narcissist and you just run into another one, and it's just dressed up with a prettier bow and some nicer pair of shoes, but it's going to give you the same result at the end.
Yeah, because that's your reflection. Absolutely. So, I mean, but yeah, these are the things we got to go into. We've got to get back to self. We got to understand who the beings are that we're trying to contract with. This is another very controversial topic that a lot of people get upset with me about when I'm speaking on it, because listen, I want this to be made clear, but then I always make it clear anyway. You got to love your brother. You got to love him. But we have to learn what love truly means. It's not about sex. And we have a responsibility with respect to the Stargate. Nothing gets into this dimension unless you say yes, ma'am. It's all about you. You're the one who brings ain't no baby daddy if you say no.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, I'm bringing that up because, we tend to expect certain things from these beings, and we don't know who they are. We don't know who we are. That's a big thing. Because we've been told lies in this society about the beings that we're trying to contract with, and nothing we're doing in this society is natural. Nothing. Nothing. None of this paradigm is all 180 degrees opposite. I told you we came from the matriarchy.
Yeah.
And here we are in a patriarchal, and that is exactly opposite from nature. But some people want to hold on to this patriarchal paradigm while talking about, we're going to get back to nature. Not if you holding on to this. This is unnatural. But you want to get back to nature. You talking about balance. We're coming back into balance whether you like it or not. And one way or the other, as you say, things are going to get balanced out.
Yeah, I got Arwen coming in. Thank you. So with that, let me ask you, because from my observation, though we've been trying to play out what we've been taught, which is an error, I've always known that it was low-key raggedy. Like, for instance, I'm gonna tell you, I was raised around men. I got a stepfather, a father. I'll actually be seeing my father tomorrow. But I've had a lot of men in the family, and I'm gonna tell you, while they were there, the women have always really been running the show. Now, since we were religious, they tried to keep it low key. But even in society, they always talk about behind every great man is a great woman. And it's like, I told you, I've worked in male-dominated fields. I've been in the military. And I would say the outstanding and upstanding men I've come across, it's always been women that has been at their base. Whether it was their grandmothers, their mothers, or just women around, they got along, like, especially men who get along with women really well. Like, they tend to be very great men. And it's just like, it's been in front of our eyes the whole time. Even the relationship kind of, the weirdness in the relationship of trying to force people to, be monogamous, be providers, be protectors. And it's like, it's always been like a tussle of trying to mold ourselves into these roles that we told ourselves we're supposed to be, but it just has never flowed quite smoothly. What do you say about that?
Right. So, I speak on this. That's what about where I speak on, the male and who he really is. Okay. It doesn't sit well because it's not natural. Please, somebody tell me. Somebody tell me. The things that come natural, are they easy or are they hard?
They easy.
Tell me somebody.
They easy.
Is a relationship easy or is it hard?
Ooh, child, it's work.
I'm just saying, it don't sound natural to me. Mm-hmm. If I got to put in all this work, it's not natural. Please tell me. Oh, never mind. I'm going to just tell you. Because when we're talking about nature, everybody's about natural. Well, how can you look at anything in this society and be talking about natural when nothing we do is natural? You want to see natural? Go to nature. And when I go to nature, 98% of the beings in nature do not get married. Oh, Diva, some of them be together for life. They mate for life. They might mate for life, but that doesn't mean they're monogamous. Penguins sometimes mate for life, but this penguin is going to go to this continent, and he might sex Barbara over here and come back to Sarah over here on this continent a year later. They might mate for life, but they not monogamous. I don't know a monogamous being. Oh, but we ain't animals, Diva. We ain't no. See, that's problem. That's problem. You're not respecting the vessel. See, you got to understand. Again, I go back to it. We have a spiritual side, and then we have this vessel. And it has got its own pull, its own brain. And if you are not respecting the nature of vessels, the problem is you. So when we're talking about a male, in nature, what male be protecting and providing? And there are very few, less than 98% of the beings, of the male beings in the rest of the societies on this planet. They do not, they don't sit there and protect and rear and all of that other stuff. We've been taught mama bear, papa bear, baby bear. That is some bull. That is some bull. Bears don't do that. As a matter of fact, a female bear will never let a male bear be around her and her cub. Sleeping together, he might wake up and eat that baby. Because that's the nature. But the female knows his nature. She respects it. I can't call the police on him. I already know how he do. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the baby. You go your way, we're going to go on this way. She is the protector and the provider and the rearer. Same with every other feminine being, birds, bears, lions, hippos. It's the female that does it. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that when we start respecting his nature, and this is not a diss to the male, this is coming back into respect for who he was who he is and what he was created for in the first place. He wasn't put here to be what he is. The deal, see, okay, how much time we got? Because I'm ready to go into it.
Look, give the people
the problem is, say what?
Give the people what they want. They here for it.
Listen, this thing is deep and then it's simple at the same time. Who is he? Yeah. Who is he? If you look in nature, he tells you, it's clear about what his vessel is. We're not talking about the spiritual side because most spiritual side in the first place. Queen said, come on now, Diva, come on, what you want, Queen? They're not in touch with their spiritual side. If you can get a male who is in touch with his spiritual side, congratulations. But you still better respect the nature of his vessel. And the nature of these vessels is to hit it and quit it. Women be like, oh, he's so handsome, he gonna be my husband, and we're gonna live together, we're gonna have a picket fence, and he gonna love me and only me. When his nature said, girl, oh, look at that one, oh, that's what his nature is saying, and you're not respecting it. He's been telling you who he is. Why is it that today's age, so many women are frustrated because he won't take care of his child and he won't do this? If he ain't telling you who he is by now, I don't know what else to say, because if it's in his nature to do it, you do not have to force him to do it. Yeah. Is it in your nature as a woman to take care of your child? You don't have to tell the woman, hey, the baby about to get run over. No, she gonna step up. Yeah. Now, if you go out into the wilderness and there's a lioness comes up on the giraffes, who is the only one that's gonna put their life on the line for the baby giraffe? Who is it?
It's the mother.
Somebody answer that. Who is? Come on now, Jessica.
It's the mother.
Who the only one that's gonna put it?
It's the mother.
Where is the father? He at the front of the line trying to get the hell out of Dodge because he likes to lie back there. They about to get ate up back there. Let me go. But the mother is gonna try to kick some butt. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And this is not no diss towards. We've been something about who he is that he's not. And so, as I told you, when we went from the matriarchal to the patriarchal, he took her over. He erased her stories. He removed her from that book. Y'all see, you talked about the Bible. There were gods, there were names in that Bible that have been removed. The vast majority of the names, because see, they took the names out and put God and Lord in there. But the vast majority of the names were feminine. And then when you read other stories, you start thinking, wait, this Jesus character got to be a female. Wait, this Moses character because when you read Solomon says, Solomon's story. Read Solomon's story. That's why I'm giving y'all this information. Go look it up. Solomon says a feminine God led the Israelites out of Egypt. Who is Moses? Solomon was supposedly there. Where did Moses come from in the Bible? I'm letting you know. Okay. Let me just say this. I'm letting you know that when you're talking about the Bible, and I respect the Bible, okay, because it's a very powerful tool. Anything somebody uses to keep you down, that's the same thing you use to uplift yourself when you gain knowledge about it, okay? So when we're talking about the Bible, yeah, it's got some truth in it. It's got a lot of lies. And it is not the word of God. It's definitely not no perfect word of God. Why am I saying that? Okay, look at your Bible. Flip through your Bible. First page. Find that little C with a circle around it that means copyright. Okay, you can't copyright God's word because God's word is for everyone. But if somebody changes God's word, put their own spin on God's word, then it becomes their word, and then they can copyright it. What has happened is somebody has made this canon, this Bible, and they've removed the woman from her place in her own scriptures. So now she has no knowledge of self. She has totally forgotten about who she is. She's forgotten about all of her powers. And young women need to know what your powers are because they're turning back on.
Okay. Woo! So when you say they turning back on, get into that for us. When you say they're turning back on, let us know what that means.
All right.
I'm tingly.
All right. So when we talk about your powers, where do they reside? Again, everything is within you already. Did we used to have the power to speak without moving our lips, to move things with our minds, to levitate and to teleport and all these things? Did we have the power to do that? Yes. But when you forget who you are and knowledge of yourself, then you got to lose those powers. And I need you to understand that's part of losing those powers is to preserve you, because you become ignorant with your powers. And then you start, listen, women have been spraying energies all over this planet and blaming it on men when it's really them. Now, sisters, they down here, amen, Diva, amen, Diva. Then when I tell them, hey, you the one, you the problem, they're like, well, what you talking about, Diva? We not the problem. Yes, you are. These powers all over the planet and not having the knowledge about the fact that we're the ones doing it. So let's talk about what's going on, because I got to go all the way. I got to go back. I'm gonna do a little bit of molecular structure so we can understand who we are. All right. So,
well, hold on. Before you get into it, I know y'all loving the knowledge. I got a good handful of people, like 2 handfuls of people on my side, and they loving what you got to say. So if y'all love what she dropping, because she drops the full truth, she drops all the nuggets, she don't hold anything back. She has a tour coming up called the 5th Dimensional Woman. Now, this is going to start on the 27th, and it's going all the way to September. And this is going to be in Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, New York, and Chicago. And you can go in person. The tickets are very affordable. Look, y'all, we really should be paying about $500 to $1,000 to hear this type of wisdom. But she made it very affordable so everybody can afford it. And also, if you can't make it in person, you can purchase your streaming ticket and watch it live. So go to her profile, and it's going to be right in the bio. Click there, a drop down comes there, and the tour, the 5th Dimensional Woman tour, is right there. But if you want this stuff in detail, if you want the fullness of it, and you want to meet her in person, because she's quite lovely, go to that link and make sure that you purchase a ticket. All right, we ready for it.
I'm just reflecting you. That's all. I'm just reflecting you.
Well, thank you.
So listen, let's understand what this dimension is. All right, I'm going to talk about this being that I love to talk about. It is the mitochondria, the mighty mitochondria. I got to bring her up because this is her dimension. This is her dimension. You talking about any kind of thing, whether it's wood, plastic, metal, your skin, your clothes, they come through her womb. This is the mitochondria's dimension. The mitochondria to be honest with you, that's spirit. Anything you can say about God, the mitochondria. Okay, so let's go into it. So everything in this dimension comes through her womb. She creates ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Involving energy.
Don't nothing move. Yes, nothing moves without the ATP, nothing. Your eyes don't bat, the lightning don't flash, and the thunder don't strike without the ATP. All right, so she's providing all the energy. She's providing all the resources in this place. Then water is a byproduct of her production of ATP. Water is mitochondrial poo. You can't live without it. So she's producing all the materials you see in this 3rd dimension. She is the one who is creating all the power, and she given a resource that you can't live without. That's mighty powerful being. Her name, she's called the mitochondria. Now, this dimension is supposed to be feminine. Everything was feminine. And brothers, I hope, if y'all are listening, please don't be knee-jerking in this room, because I'm ready to give some information, and I know it's not easy, okay? I'm giving this with love. I want y'all to understand that. But we have to tell the truth and face what's going on, because as spiritual entities, all feminine. What is feminine? It is feminine and masculine. When you say feminine, you don't have to say masculine, because it's already there. Feminine can always bring forward the masculine. You don't have to say masculine when you say feminine, because All of it is there. So this dimension originally was feminine. And then there was this creation of a masculine being. Now, I want y'all to go and look this up. This is not me dissing the brother. I need you to go and do your research. When we're talking about a Y chromosome, we're talking about a genetically modified, unnatural, parasitic, recessive trait. I need y'all to understand that. And so with recognizing that, so you got the spirit, the spirit, there's another being that contracted with this mitochondria to create what you see here: humans, fish, trees. These are the cells, these different cells, plant cells, animal cells, human cells, whatever. They're all different cells. And so let me just say it like this, because I don't want to go too deep without my visual aids. All right. The mitochondria has her own DNA. Y'all have heard of mitochondrial DNA. That's the spirit side right there. Then there's a nuclear DNA. That CTAG. You ever heard of that? When you got this long DNA strand. That's another being. These are two contracts right here. Mitochondrial contract and this contract coming from this other being that created this human cell. What you got to understand is that somebody is trying to tamper with right here, because the mitochondria, she's the one that determines, hey, a dog ain't gonna sleep with a cat and mate. Zebra not gonna sleep with a horse and mate. That's not gonna happen naturally. That happens when man starts tampering with Mother Nature. Because Mother Nature, if she sees that, she's going to kill it. She's going to stop it. This is Mother Nature, the mitochondria. So what am I saying? In going into that, let's understand somebody is tampering with the mitochondria. Originally, everything was feminine. Originally, the woman had the ability to procreate on her own. I go back to talking about those gods in the Bible. When you do your research on the original beings, go look up the book of Jasher, book of Jasher. You start seeing the names of the gods in that book. And even before that, there are those gods had names, and the vast majority of them were feminine, and they had the ability to procreate on their own. The mitochondria procreates on her own. Every cell in your body procreates on its own. It does not need to have a sperm. It does not need to be stimulated. It procreates on its own. That's the way we originally procreated. When you start talking about the island of Lesbos with Wonder Woman, well, that was a real group. It was called Khalifa tribe in the North Americas. What we know is California today. They procreated on their own, but then they give it to you as a comic book hero, and you see her as an Albion woman, when these were melanated women and they procreated on their own. It's called Parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis. I want y'all to go look up the Parthenon. This is where women used to go to learn how to procreate on their own when they started losing the knowledge and the ability to do so. But the same way every cell in your body, the same way the mitochondria in your body procreates, you had the ability to do that until man started tampering with Mother Nature. And here you got this creation of a male. He's a technology. He's a technology. It's just like the calculator came into play. We can't even do complicated math problems in our head anymore. You see what I'm saying? We can't do complicated math problems because you forgot how to use that part of your brain. Now, Remember back in, oh, you young, I don't know, you might not remember. But y'all people in the comment section, do y'all remember when we used to have grandmama number? We knew grandmama number by heart. We knew mama number by heart. We knew mama work number by heart. We knew the school number by heart. We knew all these numbers by heart. How many numbers you know by heart now? If you know 1 or 2 or 3, you're lucky. You're doing good. But invent the cell phone and we forget how to use that part of our brain. So I'm saying to you, women, the knowledge is turning back on within you. And if you want to tap into it, you better know how to recognize that you got to change self. All right, I need to go into this real quick. I talked about these two DNA. There's mitochondrial DNA and then there's this nuclear DNA. When we're talking about this nuclear DNA, we're talking about 2 X's. One coming from your father, one coming from your mother. Let us be clear. There is no such thing as male sperm. There is no such thing as a male sperm. I'm going to say it. Let me scoot you. There's no such thing as a male sperm. They're all female. This is why we know everything starts off female. If it was a male, then you don't have to wait 2, 3, 4 months before you know if it's a male or not, because as soon as that sperm hit, if it's male, then everything else multiplying in there is going to be male. But it can't be male. You know why? Because the mitochondria is sitting over here and she going to kill it if it's not matching with this X chromosome. These X and Y chromosomes are very different. They're not even the same species. He better have X chromosomes or he's going to be fertile. All right. So getting into that. Jason said, I'm so happy it's happening. All right. So let me get into this. Let's understand this. We got these 2 X's, and then one of them is going to turn to a Y. Now, let's be clear. The one that ends up turning to a Y is the X chromosome. It's called a sex chromosome. The X sex chromosome that ends up turning into a Y is the one coming from the father. And I want to go deep into, because there's a spiritual side going on here, there's a physical side, and there's a lot of other sides. When y'all come to the seminar, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what's really going on in here, because I can have visual aids and show you some things. But I need you to understand that these 2 X's now. When the mitochondria, the mitochondria is always in action. She's doing everything. When the mitochondria sees the spirit, so it's complex, but when the mitochondria sees the spirit that's coming into the vessel, then she's going to determine this vessel, this spirit fought against the mother in the past. This spirit fought against the mother in the past. And you got to understand, with that X chromosome, or she's going to tear it up. The X chromosome is a contract. Everything is about contract, even as far as your molecular side. Everything deals with contracts. When the mitochondria sees the spirit that's coming into the vessel, she's going to determine whether or not she's going to take away his powers or not. So you got 2 X chromosomes here, right? This X chromosome has 1,400 genes in it, 1,400 genes. This Y chromosome, if it turns into a Y, it's got 100 genes. She's going to rip out everything except 100 genes. This thing going to become small like this. So it's a much smaller chromosome than the X. So she's taking away his abilities. What abilities, Diva? You just said she ripped some chromosomes. This other X chromosome, this is your ability to levitate, to speak without moving your mouth, to move things with your mind, to teleport, astroport. Why do they call it X-Men when X always deals with the feminine?
Woo, this is interesting.
This is your power right here. So let me tell you what happens. If she determines that this male is not supposed to be or have these powers, the ability to procreate, she's going to take his contract away. She's going to rip it up. leaving him with only 100 chromosomes. But you got to understand, as a woman, though, there's a check, and I'm not going into it here, but there's a check that the mitochondria does. And as a female, you still have your X chromosome, but she's going to take it away from you. She's going to make it, she balls it up. So it's like it's balled up in a little part of your cell. Now, you got the ability to tap into it when you come into knowledge of self. But those powers have been taken away from you for several reasons. I won't go into them now. But this is the power right here. This is why, see, remember now, okay, you're sitting over here with 2 X chromosomes. One of them is balled up. He got full access to his Y, these little 100. Now, imagine when you start tapping into yours. This is why they be telling, oh, she's too much man for him. Why she don't let him be a man? You ever hear somebody talking about why he don't let her be a woman? No, she is all that. She is the X and the Y, the yin and the yang. When she's balanced, she is all of that. Again, not dissing my brother. I'm just telling you what the facts are. But she's sitting over here with this balled up chromosome, and she doesn't know how to tap into it. But some women tap into it, and they become very, they know both their masculine and their feminine side. That's me. You tapped in to this, and this is where your powers are. You still have the ability. He doesn't. So I'm saying this, as it starts to come open, women, y'all gonna have so much power. Your wealth is coming back. Your health is coming back. Your powers are coming back. But the thing that I always preface, please know who you are, because this is the problem. Women, when they're angry, they'll destroy everything. Yeah. What am I talking about? You remember the X-Men? Speaking of the X-Men, I don't know if you all saw it, but the most powerful being in the X-Men was a woman. And what was her problem? She didn't know how to control her everything around her. That's how powerful you are. You've been doing it, destroying everything, because your baby daddy make you mad, honey. Please, what? You can ready to go in. And every energy that you put out towards him, by law, must come back to you. This is why it's important not to be a victim. This is why, because you're going to try to destroy him, you destroy yourself. You see what I'm saying? So this is when we're talking about love, coming back into knowledge of self, coming out of the victim state. If you're in a victim state and you got all these powers, you're going to destroy yourself. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. So I got some questions. Well, the audience has some questions, because we got about 44 people over on this side. But okay.
So we got 33 over here. Hold up. You got 40, we got 33. There's some power numbers in there. Oh, go ahead. Okay. I'm listening.
So look, we've always, recently, maybe in the last, 20, 25 years, we've heard, and one of the audience members brought this up, and he was like, well, we all know that it's men who determines the sex of the baby, and this is because what we've been told in science. So I know you're going to hit on that one. You're going to eat that one up. But then he also said, based upon religion, women come from men's rib. Now, on that one, we've never seen that actually happen. Now, we've seen men and women constantly coming from women, but we've never actually seen a woman come from a man. So to me, that's just kind of common sense. But please hit on the determine the sperm XY chromosome that we've been taught. Please hit on that one.
Okay, so when it comes to, remember, X and Y chromosome has 100 genes in it. It has not the ability to create an X. It can't do this because it doesn't have, the mitochondria has removed the contract. It's not in your contract to create it. However, the feminine can create both X and Y. So when we're talking about who determines the sex of the child, let's remember, let's even talk about who the male is. What is the male? The male is an inside-out female. My brother is my sister.
Jesus.
It's really only one sex, but he's been inverted. So what you talking about, Diva? Okay, in the Bible is we're gonna create man in our image. Well, they in our image. Man is in our image. Remember that Y chromosome is a derivative, meaning it is derived from, it is the essence of an X chromosome. So when we're just we need to look at that. Who is the male? Okay, when we're talking about his breast, they're non-functioning breasts. When we're talking about his womb, he's got a non-functioning womb. It's called a prostate. His ovaries, he got ovaries. They sitting outside of his vessels. They call scrotum. He's got a vagina, or they call it a penis. All right. He is a female inside out. Now, what I'm saying, why am I making it clear about who he is? Because he also has what we call ovums inside of his ovaries, or his scrotum. He's got ovums. It's those eggs. So what they don't tell you is that there is a spermatogenesis, like an oogenesis or oogenesis. What am I talking about? When a male or female get excited, they go through this genesis process. All right, for males, it's spermatogenesis. For women, it's oogenesis. They the exact same process where this big egg inside of the ovaries or the scrotum, because the person got excited, they exit. All right, and then they start to break down. I'm not going into that today because I need visual aid, but I'm letting you know they start to break down into smaller cells. I need y'all to understand that I don't care if you're talking about the woman or the male, that big egg is called the mother cell. When it breaks down into two sister cells. Wait a minute. It don't matter if you're talking about the male or the female, it breaks down into two sister cells. Well, what you talking about? What happened to the uncle cell or the brother cell? No, these sister cells in the male. And then when they break down, those two sister cells break down, they break down into four daughter cells. Daughter. I don't care if you're talking about the male or the female, they daughter cells. Why are they daughters? Because they all girls. Because the mother started off as a girl. The only thing they could break down was two sisters and then four daughters. That's it. They all girls. They all exes, even in him. And they call them such, sisters and daughters. Okay, so now when he ejaculates into the woman, it better be X, or the mitochondria is not going to allow that union. She's going to kill that if it's all wise. Now, let's talk about what happens when the sperm hits the egg. What happening inside of the woman that causes him to become, or the X to degrade to a Y? What causes it? Okay, there's several things. Number one, I told you about the spirit. What is the spirit coming back into this vessel? If the universe, or excuse me, the mitochondria rather, sees that this is a spirit that has fought against a woman in the past, then she's going to rip that contract up. And that's going to turn into a Y. Now, what's the other thing that's going on is the mother. What's going on with the mother? I want y'all to understand something, and this is, sometimes some of my sisters will get upset when I say this, but I need y'all to know, check yourself. I love you. I'm telling you what the facts are. So all males are born of chaos. All males come from chaos. A woman that is under duress. That's where a male comes from. Not during the pregnancy, but not at the time of the birth, rather, but during the pregnancy. Like in her first trimester, whatever, if she is off balance mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, she's not eating right, she hates her job, her boyfriend beating her up, she's not in a good relationship, she can't get around. All of those things will cause her, if she's under duress, she's going to cause that child to degrade to a male. Now, this is not saying all the time a woman is under duress that is degraded to a male, but definitely if it is a male, she was under duress. So I know when I'm looking at a household where, you know, the woman has had 4, 5, 6 boys, I know where she is here. I understand where her mind is. I know she's under duress. You can say, no, man, that's what your womb is. Your womb is saying something different. So we're not told that. But I need y'all to understand something. A woman that is balanced, has peace, love, she's eating right, she loves herself, she can't give birth to nothing but a girl. So you got to understand, when you do your research and you find out that in war-torn countries, there's a spike of boys being born. Go look it up. Because the women are under duress. And that's where this more boys or more abundance of boys come from. But when she is happy, when she is at peace, she can't give birth to nothing but a girl. Because that's what that girl represents. Peace, wholeness, love. Not to say that, you know, guys doesn't have love, and not to say that a woman doesn't love her son. So I don't want y'all to be thinking, oh, she said, I don't love my son. I love my son. I didn't say that. What I said is, you didn't love yourself. Yeah. You didn't love yourself. And that's why he came about. And I need to say that it doesn't just start, you know, at, oh, my baby daddy. No, she was going through whatever she was going through in her childhood. Yeah. He came about because of whatever she was going through mentally. He's just a reflection of what's going on. The father, the baby's father is a reflection, and the child is a reflection of what she was going through in the past. All right? Woo. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so this was a lot. This is a lot. And I would say for people, this is what we taught in conventional knowledge. However, realize this. What is put out for the masses to know, a lot of that is disempowering. A lot of that is to keep you lost and confused. So when we hear something that goes against what we've been, you know, told that this is the way it is, we always need to go and do our research and really, and sometimes we got to dig deep on this stuff. Because this is not stuff that you're just going to Google and it's going to pop up. You really got to get down, go to page 78 on Google. That's where you're going to find it. But also, Miss Diva Lyri, now she don't have her visual aids on here, but if you go to her page, for instance, when she made the comment that a male is an inside-out female, if you go to her page, it's actually pinned. She actually has a chart that shows you, and she's explaining it to you in detail. And when you look at it, you can see exactly what she's talking about. And if you do keep up with science, we know that we all start off as females in the womb. And then it's around, I think, the 6th or 8th week when they say the testosterone causes the Y chromosome to express itself. But we all start off as females. So this is a lot. I know it's a lot for y'all to take in, but you have to be open. The thing is not about being loyal to a personality or face, what you've known. It's about being loyal to truth. And truth is ever expanding and opening up for you. So you have to always be open and willing to at least look into it.
Thank you. So, and real quick, because I know that this is new information, I'm going to tell you when, if you don't mind me telling this real quick, and you tell me how much time we got. I'm going to tell you when I found out, when I started really diving into that part of the child and why it's born male or female. When I was in South America, I sang, I traveled singing, and and then sometimes my first business in South America was, I had a little brownie business. And so when I go sing, I'd sell my brownies, I'd sell them too. or sometimes I just give them away. But I remember, every time somebody's like, Diva, are these what they call them, happy brownies? I was like, no, because they want to know if they weed. They're like, these weed brownies? No, they're not weed brownies. But I was like, and I got the question so often, but I was like, I'm not going to. If I put some weed in these brownies, I need to grow the weed. I need to grow this marijuana because I don't trust this marijuana. First of all, I don't even mess around with marijuana anyway. But I've heard too many stories about the marijuana down there. So I was like, if I do it, I'm going to grow my own marijuana. And so I had a friend who came to me. He's like, all right, Diva, you've been asking about this marijuana seeds. I got some seeds. Okay, look. Here go 10 seeds. All right. He's like, okay, you're going to plant them in the soil. Now, what's going to happen is that 5 of them going to be male, 5 of them going to be female. Wait a minute, what? What you talking about, male, female? This the plant, this marijuana. This is what you talking about, male, female? Yeah. Okay, listen. 5 of them gonna be male, 5 of them gonna be likely female. But you gotta kill the males. If you don't kill the males, they're gonna blow their stack on everything and then turn everything into a hermaphrodite. So then I went into studying because I'm like, wait a minute. First of all, I didn't even know these plants had male, female. And then when he said he's going to blow his stack on everything and turn everything into a hermaphrodite, I was like, that sounds like what's going on in this society. Like, I'm just saying this, I'm like, it reminded me of this society. I'm like, they sexually ambiguous and identifying as other stuff. So I'm like, and that's not a good or bad thing. It is what it is. Things are going to come back into balance, so I don't stress about none of this mess. But when he said that, I had to go find out why do they turn into males? And as I was researching, it was like, if there's an issue with the soil, if there's too much bacteria in it, too much fungus, it's too wet, it's too dry, that's going to cause the seed to become male. But the more pure and perfect the soil is, the more likely you are to get females. Because that's what he kept telling me. He's like, yeah, you got to kill the males, and you can't smoke the males. I'm like, I ain't smoking nothing anyway. But he's like, you can't smoke the males because it's going to give you a headache. I was like, because they kept telling me the potent stuff is in the female. It's in the fit. And I was like, why is this sounding like our society? What is this? So I started researching, and that's when it started talking about in this marijuana plant. If the soil is good, or if it's pure, if it's well taken care of, the more perfect it is, the more females you're going to have. And so I'm saying to you, when the woman's soil is off balance, all right, if she's under duress, she's not eating well, she's getting beat up, and she's all of these other things, her soil is off balance, and she's going to give birth to a male. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. And you know what's crazy is, so you always hear people say, oh, well, there's this many males to females. Specifically, they love to talk about that when we're talking about dating. But if you look at the world, population, I think there's slightly more men than women in the world. And when you think about female infanticide, of how I think they said we have maybe 60 million, if not billion, females missing on this. I think it's 60 million, that we're short like 60 million females due to women obviously being targeted in the birth, during the birth process. So if you look at it, and if you look at nature, the females always kind of outnumber the males naturally.
Yeah. When we're talking about, the population, if you're seeing a spike in the number of males, or even if, listen, just a look, 1% more males than females, you're seeing a woman under duress. And when I say a woman, I'm talking about all of the women collectively of that society. The women are under duress. Now, one of the statistics I was seeing is that more females are being born. Well, that's because you finding women, they're coming back into self.
Yeah.
As they come into self, they have peace. And this is, listen, let me say this. I don't speak on relationships, all right? I just speak on what the facts are. And when a woman is choosing, I just want to have my baby myself, and she's not dealing with this other stress over here, she's more likely to give birth to a female because she's decided, okay, I'm going to be over here, I'm going to be in peace. I'm going to get what I need from him, and I'm going to go over here and be in peace. Now, I'm not telling you not to get married. I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm saying to you this. If you're under duress, find your peace, especially before you find your peace.
I love that. So I was looking up a French, it might have been a scientist, but I wish I had the quote printed out. But he was talking about how we start off as female, and then when the Y chromosome expresses itself, it takes a toll actually on the child. And they were saying this is why females are even born with a lot more strength. Male children tend to have a high mortality rate, and they tend to be born a little weaker due to the biological process that has to go on in order for that male child to form in the womb.
I just told you she ripped out 1,300 of his contract. She ripped out 1,300 genes from his Y chromosome. Yeah, he's gonna be weaker. His bone strength is weaker. He has his longevity of life is less than that of a woman. His brain size, he's not as smart. And this is not a diss to males. It's not, because there are some very intelligent men. But in general, the woman's brain is bigger. Then he doesn't tap into his spiritual side like a woman can, even though women are clueless. Let me rephrase that. Women are getting back into knowledge about how to tap into their spiritual side because we've been taken advantage of. All right, we are the ones who manifest, and we've been taken advantage of because we don't recognize that we're the ones doing all the work. All right, so there are things when the mitochondria rips his contract up and turn it into a Y that he doesn't have access to anymore. His bone density, as I said, is less than that of a woman. That's why they break their arms and his bone density is not like hers. You see what I'm saying? So there's a lot that was taken away from him when that contract was ripped up.
Woo! So let me ask you. I know you say by men kind of flipping it around and dominating women, it's just a return of the energy because this is how we first started out. But how would you say that has affected society over these centuries that they have kind of been in power? How has that affected us as humankind?
Okay, so what does a GMO that we know about in nature do to the original being? What do they do?
Tear you up from the inside out.
Yeah, because you got to understand, we named some GMO beings. Can you name one? Give me one.
GMO beans?
Beings.
Beans?
What's a GMO? Give me a GMO.
Genetically modified organism. Let's see.
Yeah, give me one. Come on, you got to know one. Monsanto be killing us with this dang on.
Oh, well, I would say corn. Are we talking about beings or are we just
corn?
Okay. All right, we're gonna go with corn. Everybody know corn.
Let me tell you something. When you say GMO is going to have a personal characteristic, a specific characteristic. When you say GMO, you're talking about a genetically modified being. Genetically modified beings characteristically take over the beings that created it. The same way genetically modified corn takes over regular corn.
Oh,
the same way when you're looking at the Albion, and I love my Albion people, okay, I do, I love them. But when you're looking at them, they're that which created them, the melanated folks. did we not establish, and I'm not saying this is what science says, that the Y chromosome is a genetically modified being. I didn't make it up. That's what science says. It says that it's not natural. Now you look it up, and then you tell me if it's different, because everything that I'm reading, it says, nah, this is genetically modified being. It's not natural. It's derived from the X. It specifically was somebody who tampered with the X chromosome to create it. It's not natural.
Ooh.
So then what does a being that's not natural do? It's going to take over that which created it rather.
Yeah.
And so when they took over, then, and again, you got to remember where they came from. They came from a situation where the woman created them. They were slaves. They were the sex slave to the woman. And see, this is why she gets that return of energy to be his sex slave. Okay, I told y'all, the matriarch did not marry no males. It was not about trying to have a male and keep a male and cook for the male. That wasn't what he was supposed to be doing. Originally, he didn't have the rights to read. He didn't have the rights to property, land, wealth, or nothing else. He was a slave. And y'all can see that. Go read the Iroquois Confederacy. Even this back in the 1400s, before Columbus came over here, where it was clearly stated that the woman owns everything. All right. So what happens is, as she's getting her return of energy by universal law, she got it because she put it out. Yeah. He was her slave, and then she was sleeping with him. She wasn't supposed to. It's just like, remember the Anunnaki? When they created the humans, they weren't supposed to be sleeping with the humans. That was forbidden. And so then they started doing it, and remember the Nephilim came and the giants of the earth and all. That's because they were doing stuff they weren't supposed to do. And the same thing with the woman sleeping with the male, and she wasn't supposed to do that. And this is why I'm going to put this X chromosome to sleep, because you don't have knowledge of self. Yeah. That's another thing that the mitochondria goes into a check on at a certain point during that the child's development, where she's like, oh no, you don't have knowledge of self, because these supposed to be the same chromosomes. If they were the same, then this child is going to be born with all of these powers that are turning on within us right now. No, Jesus was supposedly a virgin birth. What is a virgin birth? That's parthenogenesis. Now I ain't buying that, because there's some other stuff. But if you remember the powers that this character is supposed to have, could walk on water, could do all these other X-Men type things. If you got this other chromosome turned on, you have the powers to do all of those X-Men type things. All right. So let me get back to it. I'm sorry. So bottom line is this, that we have to keep in mind when we're talking about just understanding who we are in this game. You got to get the molecular side, because there's so much going on that we haven't been taught. Not having knowledge of it makes you very, very dangerous to yourself. Yeah. All right. Did I answer your question? He was for war at best. Here you go. Somebody said he was for war at best. Here, go fight. I think he's talking about the male, that he was for war. That too. Yes. That too. Did I answer your question? I'm sorry.
You pretty much did. And I know this is a lot for y'all, but I love the example you use of GMO corn, because if anybody is familiar with GMO corn, it tends to take over the cornfields. It will even, like the seed, if it blows into somebody else's cornfield, it'll literally start producing itself and kill out the natural corn. So that was a great example. Yeah.
Real quick, let me finish that. Okay, so we're talking about, you were asking about why would they take over, but I brought up GMO because that is what a GMO being will do. Now, let's remember the male has a spiritual side. If he's in touch with his spirit, he's going to respect and revere that which created him instead of trying to destroy it. But if he's not, if he's just all about the flesh, he's going to try to destroy the feminine. Yeah. Because you got to understand, and let me say this, that Y chromosome is constantly fighting with the X inside of him. He is made up of all X's and that one Y. Inside of him, that one Y is constantly fighting with the X. If he's fighting with the X on the inside, what do you think he's going to do physically towards you as a feminine being? If he's not in touch with himself spiritually, he's going to fight you because that's part of his nature. That's what he's going on inside of him. Yeah. But that's why you want to deal, if you're going to deal with somebody, make sure you're dealing with somebody who's spiritually intact. I hope that makes sense.
I love that. I love that. So speaking of that, because I love where you went with that. Speaking of that, because I had to even learn in my own right, not play small to make other people comfortable. And when I say playing small to make other people comfortable, it was mainly men. Whether it was with who I was in a relationship with or the people I worked with. Like I said, I worked in predominantly male fields where I would be like one female to 100 dudes. So, with the greatness that you're calling women, you're giving women the charge to walk in, like, oh, let's talk about that. Let's talk about walking in your fullness and no longer keeping yourself small to appease what society has told you. Like, what does that look like for the woman?
All right. So let's go back to understand, because, you know, I'm really getting ready to upset some people with this one. Man, woman, child is not natural. I get it. We've been taught man, woman, child, like this guy saying we are your protectors. Let me say this because Demos, let me say this. The woman doesn't need you to protect her when she's in her right mind. The problem is her. So if there's a situation where you got to protect her, she brought the danger because she manifested it herself. You got to understand that. Well, what you talking about, Diva? He came at us with a gun. She manifested it. That doesn't just happen. That's not just happenstance. See, when you have knowledge of manifesting, you can make the army disappear. That's how powerful she is. When she knows who she is that powerful where she doesn't need protection because her energies are going to make sure it doesn't appear in the first place. So if you got to protect her, the problem is her. She got her own issues. You need to let her go before I'm telling you, you're not here to protect. You're supposed to be dropping seeds. Drop your seeds and move on. But I'm just letting you know, if you think you're protecting her, the problem is that she's bringing this danger. All right, let me get back. Let me get back to your question. You made me have to answer that question. Okay, what does it look like? It looks like her going back to the village. Yeah. The village. Who is the village? Why is it that we know this saying, it takes a village to raise a child? Well, when the last time you saw a village, we ain't really had a real true village in how long? Okay, this is because the male took her over. That saying didn't just pop out and people keep talking, oh, it come from Africa. No, it come from right here in North America with the ancestors and the original people of the land. It takes a village to raise a child. Who is the village? Her mama, her grandmama, her great-grandmama, her nieces, her sisters, her cousins, her girlfriends. That's the village. The women, that's who took care of that. That's who made sure that the child was good. It looks like her going back to her village. Now, it might not even be your family today. It might be your girlfriend. It might be some women who you met up and y'all doing business together, where all 5 of y'all come together and one day a week, one of them take care of all the babies, and then the other ones have 4 days to go and do business. It might look like a different type of village, but it's the women taking care of the children and making sure that they are not preyed upon. Yeah. It looks like her having peace where if she chooses to contract with him, it's love, meaning you ain't putting no raggedy expectations on him. His nature. When I say raggedy, listen, I say this again, men have been telling us who they are from the beginning. They said, why is it so many men talking about, you know, I can take care of it. They want to say, I can't do this, but they can't say it because society has made them think if they say this, then they're weak. But what they do, they just don't do anything. If it's in their nature to take care of that child, you do not have to force them. If it was in their nature, if it was natural, you had to beat the hell out of him to keep him away from that child. Now, he's not going to just walk away. It's not natural. And that's why he doesn't do it. But when you're trying to force him, you're trying to force a contract that, for me, I think is not righteous. I don't find it righteous when a woman is seeking the Department of Child Services or whoever on him trying to get child support away. I don't find that righteous. That's just me. Because when you hurt him or you're trying to hurt him or force him into a contract, well, you're hurting yourself. Yeah. You're hurting yourself. Again, every energy you put out must come back. What does it look like? It looks like her not fighting him anymore and allowing him to be who he is. And then see, when you're fighting with somebody, how draining is that on your energy? When you're fighting with somebody, what kind of energies are you putting out that are returning to you? You wonder why you're so drained, you've been beating the hell out of yourself. You've been beating the hell out of yourself. You think, oh no, I've been getting him. No, you've been getting you. So this is what I'm saying. She looks like she's happier. She looks like she's more financially stable. She looks like whenever if this is what she get with him. If she don't want to get with him, she just doesn't get with him. She gets with him, they have sex, and even if she has a child, nobody's looking at her any kind of way. Yeah. She looks like she gets to do what she does and be happy about it, and nobody's talking trash about, oh, she slept with him and she had children. And yeah. That's not what was going on in the matriarchy. She exercised all of her rights. She had the right to sleep with him if she wanted to. And if she decided she didn't want to get with him, then that's what she did. She just didn't get with him. That's what it looks like. She is more empowered. And because she's more empowered, then she's not going to be willing to sleep with somebody who she knows is not willing just because she's feeling desperate, because society is making her feel like if she can't keep a man, then she's not worthy, or she's not a true woman because she can't keep a man. No, it looks like a woman who's saying, no, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and then I'm gonna go out here and make my money, and she still is able to take care of that child because she's got a village, she's balanced, she's happy. And listen, I can go on, I won't, but I'm just saying it looks like a happy woman. Yeah. When you're looking at this society and you're seeing this spike in males, or not this society, because I think is really changing the other way. But when you look at war-torn societies and you're seeing a spike in males, you're seeing women, again, who are under duress. They're not happy.
I love that. I love that. So in the comments, somebody was like, the male takes care of the family, blah, blah, blah. But I need us to know the difference between nature versus socialized roles. When we want to really look at nature, like Diva said, we need to go and look at the animals. Animal videos, that it makes me happy watching baby animals. So I was watching the mother bear and her cubs, and even when I look at other mammals, you always see the offspring with the mother. That's just how you see it. After the father mates, he's off, he's gone. And it's up to her to teach those babies whatever they need to know, help them to survive, take care of them. She has to protect them from, other mammals, other males, because they'll kill the children. So it's just like, when I look at what nature is, And then I look at what we as humans do when we try to act so sophisticated and civilized, and it seems like we're constantly, like you said, struggling. Like if it's natural, it doesn't have to be forced. It doesn't have to be struggle. It doesn't have to be brainwashed into your head that this is your role. This is what you're supposed to do. This is how you do it. So a lot of people, so they said, but who protects her so she can protect the children? Well, that's why Diva said a village. When we think about, even in nature, when we think about it, a lot of those mammals, they have a village. They usually have a group of females that look after the children. Exactly.
Elephants are just like that.
And lions do that as well. Well, you have a pack, a group. So it's just like, if we start looking at nature and how nature operates, we'll see what is true nature and what we have been conditioned and socialized to believe.
Let me tell you something. We could talk. This is why, listen, I need to say this because when I'm going in on this stuff, I have different sessions in the university. And, right now we're talking about the molecular side and the society. But all of these different topics, each one of them by itself could be a whole 2-hour session. So when it comes to the tour that we're doing, I want to introduce you to just some of the things that we have missed. And then, that way you can start studying on your own. And if you ever want to, you want to join the university because, listen, we go deep into it and not just talking about it. We're going to put it into action. So, but we can talk. You and I, we're going to talk. I want you on the tour. I want you on the tour. Yes, I would love to have you on the tour. I thank you so much. I mean, if you want it, does anybody in the comment section have any questions?
Let me see. But while we're looking for questions, I do want to let y'all know that Miss Diva Lyri, she has a 5th Dimensional Woman tour coming up starting July 27th. It's going to be in Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, New York, and Chicago. You can find the exact dates when you go to her profile. Tap the link in the bio, and it's going to say the 5th Dimensional Woman Tour, and it will show you all the information. The tickets are very, very affordable for the knowledge that you're going to be getting. And I mean, like y'all can tell, she got a lot more in the tank. She's trying to give y'all just a little sprinkle, but she has a lot more. She's very open with the knowledge. Her spirit of how she delivers the knowledge is good. It's neutral. It's not trying to force you to believe anything. It's trying to say, go study this stuff for yourself and you get into the know. And this is why I respect her wisdom so much. And my thing is, you might not agree with everything, but it's going to open your mind up and you're going to start studying some things and you're going to say, there may be something to that. And if you're on this live right now, just know that spirit is talking you to it. There's no coincidence while you're on here. So make sure you go to the link in the bio on her page and check out that tour. And I might even post it, add it to my tab link too, just so, we're going to continue to promote it and the people can find it. And if you can't make it in person, you're welcome. If you can't make it in person, they do have live streaming tickets. So make sure y'all tap into that. So let's get to these comments. Because I had a couple on here. So somebody said, you ever seen a mama grizzly need protection? But you know what? It's funny. It's funny because when we actually even look at humans, when a mother's children is in danger, does she need protection? Or does she just go full force?
Listen, again, this is what I mean. You don't have to tell her what to do. You don't have to force her to go, girl, your children's about to be in trouble. She gonna step up. Yeah. If there's something, it could be a Mack truck. She gonna get the energy to lift it up off her child. She's going to get the strength and she's gonna step up. You don't have to force her. You don't have to tell her. She is just gonna be automatic. So I'm saying, when it's in you, when it's your nature, nobody has to tell you. And you're seeing, even in this society where it's a force, you got to force him to do this and force him to do that. Well, he's trying to tell you that it's not in his nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know it's like, well, he need to do, but you got to remember, the only way he came into your life and was y'all with child is because you said yes.
Yeah.
You are the keeper of the stargate. It's in here as it comes through you. It's great if he steps up and does something, but if he doesn't, start recognizing that it wasn't in his nature to do it in the first place. How do we come together as the village and take care of this child? Even if it's not our child, how do we come together and help this mother who's struggling or whatever it is to take care of that child to the point where she's not trying to put him in a contract where he wasn't supposed to be in the first place?
Yeah.
That's where we get to, where we have peace and happiness. And if he steps up, great. If he doesn't, we still gonna be great.
Yes. I love that.
That's what I'm saying.
And I feel like as we're shifting and more women are coming into this truth, I feel like women are collaborating more. Women are coming into groups and kind of rebuilding those villages in a sense. And it's not just, like you said, it's not just with family, it's with friends and the people that you're coming in contact with and meeting. I just feel like that is what Spirit is like calling us to,
Yeah. Because we need to just get back to nature and stop trying to hold him to something where he's not supposed to be in the first place.
Yeah. So somebody said, so who do you call when pipes explode? You built the home, you're under, who built that? So, it's funny to me because in the military, I was an aircraft electrician and HVAC specialist. I've also worked civilian where I've done rail car electrical work and HVAC work. Like I said, I'm the only woman to maybe 100 men, but I've seen other women in these different maintenance fields, in these different construction fields and things. One, men tend to be more socialized towards those roles. And then two, you got the shoulders for it. I mean, you get paid for that job, right? What does that have to do with? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, listen, nobody, and this is the thing I know men get, because they feel threatened. It's like, what you talking about? Y'all need us? You don't need us, then who gonna fix your pipe? Who gonna kill that bug? It's like, listen, this is not about dissing men or trying to put them down or say that they have no value. This is not about that. What we got to do is just tell the facts about what's going on so that we can get a balance. All right, we're not balanced right now, and I don't think anybody, male or female, would look at what's going on in the society and say it's balanced. It's unbalanced. You only get back to balance when you're willing to recognize the truth. Males are here because they are our reflection. They are here for a reason. Everything has a purpose. Everything. So nobody's trying to say y'all not worthy of being here or anything like that. We're just putting out the facts. We love you. We appreciate you for fixing our pipes. But if you wasn't here, we either get Jessica to do it or some kind of robot or something. We figured it out. Just like we figured out how to bring you in here.
Lord.
But let me say this too. Remember, brothers, you are a spiritual entity. You are a spiritual being, all right? And when your vessel expires, you come back up in here, you're gonna be a girl again. unless your contract gets ripped up. So let's just remember that we're just talking about what the facts are about who we are and where we came from, so that we can get back to balance. We got to get, not about hating you. It's just about what is the truth, so that we can go back to nature. That's it.
And what I will say is, anytime you're unraveling the truth, you got to realize a lot of this stuff goes very deep for us. We have put our whole identity into these external things. So when people start unraveling it and they pull off your toupee, pull off your wig, like it hurts, it stings, because it cuts at the very core of who you thought you were. And the first thing that we naturally want to do is we want to get defensive and we want to fight. I know even when I was coming out of the religious stuff, I was a little mad. I was a little angry. And I had to get out of that and realize, there was a need, a cause for everything. And at that time, that's what I needed, because I wasn't ready to take accountability for who I am as a creator. So I had to move out of being angry with it and realizing I have a lot more life in me. And now I can start seeing myself for my true identity. And though I felt like people lied to me and stuff, a lot of them people, they believe that stuff. They wasn't intentionally lying to you. That's what they knew. But now I'm called to expand a little higher and a little deeper, and I'm going to allow that in, and I'm going to be joyful about it, because all of the experiences I've had, whether they were delusional, false, or whatever, they served the purpose at the time that they served their purpose. So
okay, I got this question. Thank you, Jessica. So I got this question. Smith Z says, so the creator is a woman, the Most High? All right, so let me go back to this. Can I answer that real quick? All right, so remember, I go back to the mitochondria. I told you this is her dimension. And she can bring forth anything and everything. She's the one who, again, everything comes through her womb. It's called a matrix. Everything comes through the womb of the mitochondria, skin, plastic, metal, whatever, you name it, it coming through her. Then how does she procreate? She doesn't procreate with a male being. No, when she wants to procreate, in her mind, she multiplies whatever contract is within her, and then she creates a being that's equal to her. They both have the same knowledge. They both have the same abilities. There's no baby coming up. Speaking of that baby stuff, that's alien technology. I'm not going into that here, but that's alien technology. The mitochondria and all the original beings on this planet, yeah, they procreate in every cell in your body. Yeah, fission or mitosis. That's how she procreate. So we're talking about a God. Again, there's nothing you can say about a God that you can't say about the mitochondria. Nothing. This is her dimension, and everything was supposed to be feminine. Everything is feminine. Everything comes from the feminine.
yes.
Until man start tampering with the mitochondria. So yeah, it's a female. And everything comes from the feminine.
Even when we talk about, so I sometimes hear, like the young person say, I'm not sure if it's a man or woman, but they basically was saying, well, who's going to fix the pipes or who's going to build things? And I remember somebody asking me, okay, well, when did the feminine, when did women ever create, the buildings and things? And I'm like, so if we talk about esoteric feminine energy, that's actually the creative energy. That's the imagination energy. Before anything manifests in matter, it has to come from the mind. You have to see it. You have to imagine it. That's a right brain thing, right? No, I think is it left brain? Is it left or right?
I know it's the feminine brain. That's all I know.
But the
feminine brain,
it originates out of the feminine energy. And a lot of people mix up feminine and woman. It's not the same thing. Woman is biological. Feminine, we're talking about energies. And like Diva said, women, specifically women, we have both energies. And we tend to be a lot more balanced in that. And men can have these energies too, but this is how I feel. I feel like the feminine energy has been on such attack for these past couple centuries, but it's starting to come back in. And when we do meet these men that, let's say, are elevated, self-actualized, they tend to be able to have a form of that feminine energy in balance with that masculine energy. How do you feel about that?
I tell guys all the time. It's like, You have to be able to tap into your feminine energy, because this is when you're able to thwart issues. You don't have to, I got to carry a gun or I got to carry a knife. No, when you, what is, so I get this question. So let me ask, what's the difference, Diva, between feminine energy and masculine energy? Masculine energy is where, oh, I got to carry a gun or a knife or whatever, because if somebody come at me, I'm going to shoot them, I'm going to kill them. Feminine energy is putting yourself in a position where you never need a gun or a knife in the first place, because you have controlled your energy such that you created your third dimension. Yeah, remember I go back to fifth, sixth, seventh dimension. Remember I went back to fifth, sixth, seventh dimension. When you control this, you can control what shows up in your third dimension. So because I have controlled myself, I have mastery of self, I know this kind of danger is not showing up in my dimension. I know it. I know it. Let me tell y'all something. I was in South America for 7 years. I toured Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, all this little Bolivia. I was by myself. I was by myself. I never had a problem or an issue because of my energies. I didn't draw that kind of attention. It didn't come to me. It didn't find me because I didn't put it out. So what I'm saying to you is, when women, men, people, when people start learning to control their fifth, sixth, seventh dimension, then the dimension that they want to show up, or that third dimension that they want to show up, it's going to show up, and you're not going to be worried about a gun. That's the feminine energy. When you can control these three so that you can manifest what you want in this third dimension. And a woman who's in control of self is not worried about needing to shoot somebody, kill somebody, beat somebody down, because she has already created her dimension with her energies, the feminine energies. And so when brothers be like, well, I ain't got no feminine energy, well, you better get some. You better get some real quick, because that is how you manifest and control and build what you're wanting to have in your third dimension.
Woo! And you know what? I will even add on to that for some people that might be like, whoa. I would even add on the feminine energy being connected to your intuition and your higher self, which we've turned off. And I know me personally, yes,
Yeah.
me personally, as I've gone through life, I don't really have a lot of crazy stories about, people trying to do things to me, not as an adult. And I feel like it's because of that intuition of saying, don't go there. Don't talk to that person, or go over here, go over there. And it's like I've listened. And I can also say sometimes it's been my visions and things of just, and I would say my Philly state thing of being able to kind of read energy and feel energy, and be talking to somebody and be like, nope, don't go in the dark alley with them.
Well, you have it, when you can say that's telling me that you controlled yourself. That, the problem is that we have forgotten about self-mastery. Self-mastery as a sovereign means that you know how to control what your energies are. So you know better if, somebody's done something or made you feel a certain kind of way, you know how to act. You don't go off and hurt somebody or harm somebody or do whatever dirt to somebody and think you're going to get away with it because nobody saw you. Somebody always sees you. So because you have control, and because you didn't put those energies out, they can't find you. That's what it tells me, that you didn't get it because you didn't put them out. But if you told me, well, somebody hit me over the head with this bat, and they would, oh, I know what you did.
Not hit you upside the
So
head with a
that's
bat.
part of the law. You said what now?
I said, not hit you upside the head with a bat. My goodness.
I've had people tell me about that. And my father's one of the main ones. My father's like, yeah, such and such hit me upside the head with a bat. I'm like, Dad, who did you hit upside the head with a bat? Well, see, this guy who messed with me. Oh, okay, see, I knew. Because I already know. So it's like, you can't tell me about what somebody did to you without saying what you did. So when you understand that feminine energy, the feminine energy is watching what you're putting out so that you don't have to worry about somebody coming back with a bat against you. You don't have to worry about that because you didn't put it out. You didn't do that to anybody. People don't get it. They want to be victims. But as soon as we come out of the victim state, then our powers will come back on.
Ooh. Okay, all right. So you know what I tied together? Realizing that you're creator is really tapping back into that feminine energy. Because
Yes.
the feminine is the creator. So it's like with the feminine waking back up, and I wouldn't even say it's always been around, but I think now we're just more open to allowing it to come in and things are shifting. But it's like once you realize you start tapping into that, you tap into that you're a creator. And the very vessel, hmm,
We were in a coma.
yes.
We were in a coma like the mitochondria goes into a coma, but I'm not telling you. I won't go into that now. But somebody put the mitochondria into a coma. The same way we were in a coma, not having knowledge of self. Yeah, somebody put the mitochondria into a coma.
Whew. So I feel like we waking back up. We're waking back up and we're fully walking into our fullness. And I know it's a lot for the people to digest. And that's why I say one step at a time, one step at a time. But I love how you explain the information and how you break it down. And I love when you have your visual aids too, because you're like, oh, okay, I see.
Here we go. Solo says they put the Moors into a coma. Okay, so we gonna we're not even going into that. But so that's a whole nother class. Well, right now tonight we're just talking about the women and what's going on with the women. But yeah, the Moors went into a coma because some dirt they did. But we're not getting into that tonight. But I'm gonna just let you know I have enjoyed this. I can go on because we're gonna talk. Me and you, we're gonna go into it. But for you all, I encourage you. Who is us? They did us dirty. I'm not going into that with you, Solo Kid. Solo Kid, like, oh, they did us dirty. Solo Kid, you did them dirty. Because you the one who brought the slaves into the Americas in the first place. The Moors did. I ain't going into that. I want, for those of y'all who I'm, who go, what you talking about? Look up the Barbary Treaties, please, all right, and find out, and look up the etymology of the term slave. Well, then why you talking about, Solo Kid says, I'm not a Moor. Neither am I. I'm nine ether being. All right, nine ether being. He says I'm a nine ether being. Okay, so but y'all go just look it up so that because Solo was talking about they did us dirty, and I think he might be saying the Moors did the original people dirty, and they did. But that's going into the history. I'm telling y'all, there's so much that we have been lied to about, and when you start doing research, all of this stuff unveils itself. Listen, come to the seminar, all right? Fifth Dimensional Woman Tour. Listen, woman, sisters, I say to you, you are a multi-dimensional woman, but we're going to break this thing down dimension by dimension so you understand what your powers are and how to make sure you use them in a righteous manner and not abuse them like we did in the past, all right? It's a lot that we have to learn. And we're doing this tour just because send her a message for tickets for the tour. Sunset Beach, I'm not sure what you mean. Send who a message for tickets for the tour. What kind of message? I'm not sure. Help me out. Expound on that. But, come to the tour, all right? Because we're in these cities, Chicago, Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, and New York. New York. I want y'all to be there. We're doing this with love. Why? Because there's information that you need to get so that when your powers turn back on, you don't destroy yourself. All right. Diva, I want y'all to know I love you. I love you. I love you. This sister right here, Jessica, thank you so much for being gracious enough to put out this post and giving props to people where you find the information. Thank you. You know, when you put out love, love must come back. All right. I don't find you if you don't put out love. And thank you for putting out love for me. I am honored. I'm honored to have sat here with you this evening. I sit here with you all night if you want, and we're going to talk. But I want you to know I really appreciate you. I love you. I thank you. I honor you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. I love you. I love what you're doing for the community. Look, look, look. What we talked about here today, it's just a little nugget. She couldn't give y'all everything. It's just a little nugget. Some things, you know, TikTok might put us up off of here. So, so she just gave y'all a little nugget, but I highly recommend to go check out her page on TikTok. And if you want to get more into the detail of some of her talks, go and check out her YouTube page.
UNARepublic.
UNARepublic on YouTube. And if you want some of this, you know, this unleaded knowledge, because you know when she's in person, it's going to be a little bit more stuff that YouTube ain't even able to handle. So if you want to, you know, meet her in person, and I'm going to try to get on some of these legs of this tour. I'm going to try to show her. We're going to speak. But look, make sure that you check out the Fifth Dimensional Woman Tour. And it's for everybody. For women, men, whoever. Just make sure you come with an open mind. And that you're ready to learn and expand. And like I told y'all, the tickets are very, very affordable. And if you can't make it in person, then get your streaming tickets, because you'll be able to see it live. But all of the information can be found in the link of her bio on TikTok. But and I think I'm going to post it on my bio as well. But what do you want to leave the people with? You're welcome.
I want to leave you guys with love, love, and love. Let me say this, because when I first kept, you know, people, oh, you gotta love and love, love, love. And I was like, what is love? What is this? This doesn't make any sense. But what is love? Love is where you respect something for what it is. You don't try to manipulate it. You don't try to change it. You don't try to force it into being something that is not. You love it for what it is. And then you also have self-love, to the point where if what this thing is causing you problems and issues in your life, you love yourself enough to love it from afar. Love. It's not about manipulating something and forcing it. It's just about allowing it to be what it is and loving it for what it is, and then having a pullback when it's causing disharmony in your life. Love. You don't have to fight it and all this stuff about, you know, the men versus women and the melanated people versus the light-skinned people. No, love, respect people. And then watch how your universe changes for you. All right?
Yes.
That's what we're moving with. Love.
I love that. I love that. And you know what? I'm gonna add on to that, and I'm gonna leave it. But even with the love part, it's like seeking understanding. To really accept something for what it is, we must seek understanding of that thing without judgment. We're gonna realize that if we have more talks, we're gonna get into about this good and bad duality thing that we have going on, where we've been called to, like, well, we just judge things and it got to be like this or it got to be like this. And it's like, seek to understand things as they are without judgment, and you decide if you want to partake or if you don't want to partake. That's it.
Right.
So I love that.
Jessica, oh my goodness, let me tell you something. This has been a ball for me. Yeah, we're gonna have more talks. If you cool with it, I'm cool with it. You are divine wisdom, Jessica. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your platform, and all the people over there on Jessica's platform. I love y'all. I love you.
Look, they're loving you over here. They said they're going to binge watch the channel now. Make sure y'all give me y'all seminar tickets as well. Thank you to A, thank you to Infinity, Queen, thank you, Pookie Pookie. Thank you. So I thank y'all for tapping in with us, and we're gonna be back. We're gonna be back because we was only supposed to be up here for an hour, and it's going
I
on.
know. Oh my gosh. Hey, Ghostling, thank you. Solo Kid, Queen, everybody, Sunset Beach, all of you all, thank you so much for your love and hanging out with us. We got some more coming. So, all right, hold on for a second. Let me put this on. Here we go. Wait, where's my music? There we go. Gotta go. We out of here. We're gonna talk soon.
All right.
Be in the seminar. Fifth dimensional woman. I love y'all. I'm out. I'm out.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.